know, the second time I've done this, we've got Mayor Briggs does have the flu, so he is kind of under the weather right now, so just remember him in your prayers as well. But before we get started, I would like to hope you get something out of it. So we're going to get started with item number 4, and that is the approval and or correction of minutes of the prior meeting. We have 4.2, called meeting October the 25th, 2022. 4.3, called meeting October 26th, 2022. 4.4, called meeting October the 27th, 2022. 4.5, called meeting November the 9th, 2022. And 4.6, called meeting November the 22nd of 2022. If there's not any corrections that need to be made, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I got a correction.
Okay.
On page 3, the ordinance relative to mobile homes, it says that the way this reads, it looks like one that has the last one that has a bold ordinance number.
I see that, yes.
AZ 202205.
Yes. It is single wide and not
That needs to be correct.
We can correct that. Madam Secretary, would you correct that, please? If there's not any further corrections, I'm sorry.
There's one on page 2, paragraph 4. A motion was made to allow Citizen McNabb to build a road to his lots located in Beasley subdivision at his expense and to put septic tanks on those lots to be maintained by the property owners by Alderman Jack Johnson, seconded by Alderman Ellis, and it failed on a roll call 6-1. I thought that passed.
It did pass.
I don't remember.
I think it did.
Before we're not going to discuss the policy on septic tanks, I got that for reading.
Well, this is on here tonight too. We're going to discuss.
I think we had told them to go ahead and build the road. And we come up with something on septic tanks one way or the other.
Because we had already told him that he would be able to have this.
I wasn't really sure on that one.
So it did pass. So where do we go from here?
My opinion is that let's take minutes to read the stand.
Right, we're going
We
to.
don't really have anything passed, but typically because we have to decide what the rule on septic tank is.
Which I think when we get down here into the part of the agenda, we do have that. Where it states it was voted on, I think, in 2015, when Mayor Dyer was mayor.
She was legally begging the minutes that they need to read.
Right. How that Christie?
Exclude that one.
Right. So we'll hold on October.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wilders? Yes. Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes. Okay, the next one is 5, which is comments from the mayor. So yesterday, we lost Assistant Chief and former Sheriff Barry Wright. He was a pillar in this community, and he was a good friend to many, and he did a lot for people that most people didn't know about. He had a good heart. he had that infectious smile. He just smiled all the time. But he also had that little grin about him too that always let you know he was kind of up to something or you didn't really know what to expect. But if you just remember Crystal, Chelsea, and his granddaughter Brooklyn, and the rest of his family in your prayers, because they're really struggling right now. We all are. If you would remember him, we would all appreciate it. Okay, we'll move on to number 6, reports from the mayor or the Board of Aldermen. Does anybody on the board have anything they'd like to share?
I've got one thing. It's on your table. It's the first rough draft of the cemetery rules, and I had Chrissy leave everybody a copy to look at for our January meeting. If you wanted to start writing it up, marking it up, some of the things that are highlighted and underlined are the things that probably have the most questions or the biggest discussion points. So it's just a FYI, if you want to look at them between now and the meeting, that way when we come to the meeting, it won't be the first time seeing it.
I think it's something we really need to take a look at. I was looking back on some of my other agendas, and we actually started talking about this back in May. And so here we are into November, so if we could all take a look at it. And we're not going to make everybody happy, but kind of come to a happy medium. And maybe in January, start to work on that.
And if you can email or text me off to the side if you want me to email you a copy where you can actually make corrections on the actual document if you don't want to write all those.
Whatever we do, we need to be very thorough about it, or as thorough as we can, because we don't want to be making changes and then coming back 3 months later, 6 months later, saying, well, we should have done this and we should have done that. So if we'll just really dive into it, I think it would be beneficial for everyone. Does anybody have anything else on the board? Okay, and there's nothing on the consent agenda, and it doesn't look like we have any unfinished business. So at this time, we'll recess the Board of Mayor and Alderman and call the beer board into session. We have an application for a beer permit application for Ms. Hannah Manus to operate Main and Monroe, located at 40 South Main Street, for on-premises consumption. Chief Lofton, did everything check out okay with that?
Yes,
I make a motion, we approve this.
Okay, I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wildred?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Okay. Hannah, are you here? Yeah, I thought that was you. Okay, you can go to City Hall tomorrow and complete everything. Okay? Thank you. Okay, I declare the meeting of the beer board adjourned and call the Board of Mayor and Alderman back into session. Okay, at this time, we're going to skip down to 9.5, which is discuss the soccer complex. Mr. Philip Renfro, I believe you're here.
The kids here you see in their uniforms and their soccer uniforms up. For the Lexington Soccer League, but no, that's not what we're going to do. Usually, when you have this kind of support, and you have this kind of crowd come to a board meeting like this, it's because something is wrong, or because we need money for something. But I'm here to tell you, rest easy right now. Nothing's wrong. In fact, everything is as good as it possibly could be. Everything's fantastic, and we're not here to ask you for money. What we wanted to come and talk to you about tonight, I'm going to give you kind of a snapshot of what's going on with the Lexington Soccer League, what's going on at the Lexington Soccer Complex, and kind of give you an update of sorts. Go to that next slide, Cindy. Lovely assistant Cindy's going to turn the pages for me over there. The very first thing you see there, league founded about 2004, that's wrong. And I didn't realize that until after I had all these printed and had my PowerPoint done. The league, in its current form, started about 2004, but the league was active for probably 8 years before that. And games were played in the outfield at Gabby Amos Park. They would go out there and just square off a section, sort of square, and play soccer. My oldest son, Jacob, who was born in '99, he played soccer as a 5-year-old in 2004, and he played in the outfield at Gabby Amos Park. That was prior to the construction of the new soccer complex. Since 2012, we've had 5,463 players play in our league. That's the records we had easiest access to. Obviously, the league had been around for about 15 years prior to that, so considerably more players have played soccer in our community than that. But since 2012, 5,463. 2022 registrations, we have 2 seasons, right? We have a spring season and a fall season. We usually have around 300 for spring and around 250 for fall. Last year or this year in 2022, we had exactly 300 register for spring and 260 register for fall. Why is the difference? I don't know. If you're playing on a school team, high school or middle school team, you cannot also play rec league, and we tend to get more girls playing, I guess, in the spring.
Middle school, you can, high school, you can.
Okay. Well, we tend to get more girls that register for the rec league than we do boys when they're actually eligible. So that explains one difference. And another difference too, in the spring, it's cold when we start. It's cold. I mean, it'll be cold when we start. We'll start registration on the 26th of December, the day after Christmas. We'll keep it open for how long? We'll keep it open. January, February. We'll keep it open about 6 weeks. And then we'll start practicing in March, and we'll have games out there by the end of March. And it's cold, and it's just like the other park at Gabby Amos Park. There's nothing to block the wind, and it is a good 10 degrees colder there than it is at your house, no matter where you live. It's always colder there. Go ahead, Cindy. This board agreed to build the Lexington Soccer Complex in 2008. It was completed and dedicated in 2009. That picture that you see there is the plaque that's on the wall of our concession stand out there. We have room for 4 regulation-sized fields. The whole park encompasses about 12 acres, not including the parking lot, and there's about 2,200 square feet in that 6-sided building out there. 1,100 feet on the bottom where we have our concession stand, then we have some storage and some meeting space in the upper level there. We are the home field for Lexington Middle School, boys and girls. We're the home field for Henderson County United, boys and girls. And we're the home field for Lexington High School, boys and girls. Just to give you a little bit of insight into what our league has meant to those programs, Lexington High School, I know, has sent 2 boys teams to the state tournament in the last few years, 2015 and 17, I think. I'm going from memory. And the girls team sent 2, the boys team has sent 3 teams to the state tournament just in the last few years. That's a pretty good mark for a school our size. We don't, the Lexington Soccer League doesn't train players to have the ability to compete at that level, but they get their background at the Lexington Soccer League. I'd say we bat nearly 1,000 for the number of players that are on those teams that go to those state tournaments actually got their background in Lexington Soccer League from volunteer coaches. I want to talk a minute about our soccer league operations. We're governed by a 24-person board. And most of those folks are here tonight. I won't bother reading that list. But there are committees within that board, concessions committee, field committee, registration, officiating, etc. And let me tell you, we all stay in our lane. And when we get out of our lane, somebody lets us know that we're not in our lane. And it works really, really well because we've got a terrific board there. Everybody has a vested interest in the league, a vested interest in the park. They've got kids playing, or they've got grandkids playing. And the main objective of that board is to do what is right and best for the kids of the community and the kids in the league. And I can't say enough good about our board. It's just fantastic. We just function really, really well. To talk a little bit about revenues and expenses, I won't bore you with details. I can, if you want it. I can get you a detailed financial statement. But basically, what we do, we have revenues from registrations. Each registration, I believe, is $45, and you get a discount if you have more than one. Is that right?
Yes.
And most of us have more than one. I have two. Expenses, revenues, registrations, concessions, and we get a little bit of revenue from team photos and individual player photos. Expenses, uniforms, medals, robocalls. Surely somebody in here has gotten a robocall that says, "This is Phyllis Wilson from the Lexington Soccer League." Surely you've gotten that. I know there are people that are still on that list that get those calls whose kids aged out of it 10 years ago, but they still need that call from Phyllis Wilson to remind them of the good old days, I guess. We keep an operating account and a field account. Our operating account's where our revenue goes. Any excess revenue that we have beyond our expenses to pay for concession stand supplies or insurance, uniforms, any excess revenues that we have, we dump into the field account. And that field account is used to maintain the fields in the park. Now the city mows, the city does turf management, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But we don't keep a lot of money in our operating account. If we get a few $100s in there, we dump it into the field account to pay for seed and fertilizer and things of that nature. We just wrote a check this month for $9,200 worth of seed. I don't know if you bought any grass seed lately, but it's gotten ridiculously expensive. And that will pay for enough seed to oversee all 4 fields. So all 4 fields, when you come out to see us this spring, are going to be nice and green and look terrific for our players. League games and operations, that's kind of what we do. What else do we do? We process registrations. We've got a committee that handles that. That is a bear. I mean, it is a bear. It's all online, but Adam and Brittany have kind of handled that the last couple of times, Adam and Brittany Carver, and that's a bear. It's an absolute bear. But they've done a fantastic job with it, and you have to kind of pick up the pieces sometimes because somebody paid, they didn't get credit, or they're late registering, which happened at my house a time or two. But then once we get all our registrations in, the entire board gets together and we form teams. We try to form teams that are competitive with each other, and we have to consider the fact that it's hard to get coaches too. So it's becoming increasingly difficult to get coaches. So we form teams. We have a team forming meeting, and then we also coordinate the match schedule, including the officiating. So we pay for all of our own officiating out of our operating account. And those kids that are officials are like James McKenna here. He's a league player, and he's a Lexington kid. He plays high school soccer, and he also officiates for us on the weekends. And what does an official make on a typical weekend in the Lexington Soccer League, James?
I usually rep around 3 games, so maybe around $90.
$90. So he comes and refs games for us on Saturday mornings, 12 times a year. That's $90. Pretty good deal. He is trained for that though. He has to go and he has to get certified. He has to take a class and he has to take a test. And James is a really good official, by the way. So you remember that when you're officiating my game this spring. initial layout and season-long striping of fields. We're responsible for keeping the field striped. You can't play soccer unless you got lines. That has been difficult at times, honestly, because of weather. That's a huge job. That's why they have their own committee designated to striping those fields. We're also responsible for maintenance of benches and goals. We monitor the weather for compliance with league rules. That's primarily driven by our insurance policy, which governs the temperature, basically. How cold can it be? We're still allowed to play. How hot can it be? We're still allowed to play. We monitor that, and sometimes we have. Lexington Soccer Complex operation. So this is a little different. This is how the complex operates. So the soccer league, as I told you, we cover league operations, field overseeding, fertilizer, and some light maintenance. If there's a hole in the field or a piece of turf's missing, we're going to take care of that. We can manage some light maintenance. The city of Lexington complex oversight, mowing, turf management, lights, concession stand, and bathroom maintenance. Just to name a few, and mowing again is a bear. It's a big deal, and the city has always faithfully done that and taken really good care of everything. We've had to have a discussion or two about where they run the line trimmers, because our nets typically rest on the ground at the back of the goal, and the line trimmer can really be hard on that. But we've gotten over that hump with those guys, and they do a fantastic job. Anytime we've needed anything, we're out there on Saturday morning, and if there's a problem in the bathroom or with the concession stand or with the field or whatever, one phone call or text message to the parks director, be it Robbie or Shane or whoever it is, Keith, back in several years ago, they're always Johnny on the spot. They send somebody right away, and it's a really good system, and they certainly do their part. The Henderson County school system, the last 2 seasons, has purchased paint to stripe the fields. If you remember a couple slides ago, Henderson County has 4 teams that play their home matches in that complex. I went to Mr. Wilkinson about a year ago, and I said, we need you to buy the paint. You got 4 teams out there, and we need our revenue for overseeding, and we need you to buy the paint. There was not a minute's hesitation. He said, "Send me a bill, and we'll take care of it," and they did. Some donations to the field account as well. Matches at the Plex in 2022. LMS girls 6 matches, boys 6 matches. Henderson County United girls and boys 6 matches and 5 matches respectively. LHS girls and boys 6 matches each. I don't believe those count any tournament matches that they had, so those would be in addition to that. Lexington Soccer League in 2022 had 255 soccer matches. Every one of those matches involves at least 12 players. Well, the little kids they didn't play a 4v4, so at least 8 players, and 2 refs, and board members are usually present. Just put that picture right there. You may recognize somebody. That's Wendy Overcast, who works at City Hall now. I called her and begged her to coach a team, and look what they did. They won the championship. Her team did. They had a fantastic year. 255 matches, 260 kids registered. In addition to that, we have what are called state league games. This is travel soccer. So you heard about travel baseball, travel softball. This is travel soccer. We have travel teams from 100 miles away plus come to Lexington because of our location and play matches here. Because the teams in Franklin and Brentwood and Nashville and Clarksville, they get tired of playing each other, so they want to meet halfway and play. We're perfectly positioned for that. Last year, we had 40 state league games at our complex. Each one of those games involves probably 40 players and all of their parents. The older the kids get, the less people travel with them typically, but you're talking about a significant economic impact right there for those people coming to our town. And if they're like my kids, and I assume they are, they forgot something. They forgot their shin guards, or they forgot their cleats, or something, and they got to go buy something. So they're spending money here when they're here. They're buying gas, they're buying meals. They don't typically spend the night because of our proximity to home. They come here and play, and then they go home. But my kids played. They played travel soccer for a year or two, and I can tell you, without reservation, we have the best public soccer complex in West Tennessee. There are some private schools in Jackson that invest more in their field than we do, and theirs are nicer. But as far as a public facility, you guys could not have done any better. It is a fantastic place to play. When those guys come here, they pay us anywhere from $50 to $100 per game field rental. All of that money goes right into the field account, which goes right back into overseeding and fertilizing the fields. For your consideration, well, let me recognize our kids. Kids, y'all step out here and show your uniforms. You know, you wore them for a reason, right? So this big tall one here in the red, that one's mine. He's bigger than I am. Well, he's taller than I am. He's not bigger than me. He's taller. But these are mostly board kids, but this is just kind of a representation of what we have. They're all good players and all contribute a lot to our league, and I'm happy to have them.
How about your coaches too, Phil?
Our coaches, well, you're looking at them. Our board members, just about all of us are coaches.
They're hiding back
That's the
there.
team. Yeah, the coaches. Yeah, they want the players in front and center. I will say this, and none of the board members will mind me saying this, none of the coaches will either. But Jill McKenna, and she's really hiding in the back there, and that's fine. But Jill took over the First Touch program. So if your child turns 3 by some date, I don't know the date, but it's 3 and 4 year olds, never touched a soccer ball, never been around soccer at all. She takes those kids and puts them through called a First Touch program, and you ought to see it. It is the funnest thing that we do. It's hilarious, and they have a ball doing it, and Jill is perfectly suited for that. She does a great job. Consideration. I said I wasn't going to ask you for money, but one thing that needs to be done out there, 2 things that really need to be done. One, that top one needs high priority. The lights are out. They're all burnt out. When Robbie was, we've got maybe a third of the lights working now. When Robbie was the public works director, he wanted to stretch it out as long as he could and replace all the bulbs with LED, which I think is a terrific idea. It's probably an expensive proposition. I don't even know what that cost is, but if we know what that cost is, we're willing to help. We're willing to help with that expense. It would save everybody money in the long run because you wouldn't have to wait until the weather's dry enough to get the electric system truck out there because that's the only thing we have that gets high enough to change the bulbs out. So highly recommend that we do that this spring or this summer is upgrade our lighting to LED. The park has poor accessibility. You can't get a wheelchair off of the pavement out there to where you can view a game unless it's dry. You know, if it's the least bit wet, you don't want to run a motorized chair out there at all. So I would consider, if I were you, consider applying for a grant to improve the accessibility of the park. One thing that has deteriorated over time is the drainage right in the center of the plex. It's right between field 1 and 2, field 3 and 4, and it runs the entire length of the complex. It's kind of come apart. It's washed out in a couple of places, and it's not working properly. we could do better. If we had better drainage, we'd have better, our overseeding would work better, our fields would dry faster, and we could play more games. We had a storm come through not long ago that removed our sign. So I would also consider some new signage if I were you. Some helpful links. We have a Facebook page. It's called LSL-Lexington Soccer League. If you want to look that up, if you're on Facebook, if you're not a member of that, go find it and request membership, and maybe you'll get approved. Registration, that's the link for registration. And I just want to say before we end, we're here because we want to express our gratitude to you for the formation and the building of that soccer complex. My kids needed it. My kids grew up at the Lexington Soccer Complex so far. They've still got some growing to do, I guess, but it has been a huge benefit to my family personally, and I'm speaking for all of these folks here. It's just a huge, huge benefit for our community, and I have benefited from it personally, and I can't thank you enough. And those are my two boys right there after they got done playing in the rain one day. We play soccer in the rain, if y'all don't know. So a lot of parents, they have a little problem with that sometimes. They want to know, why are we playing in the rain? Well, you play soccer in the rain. It's not lightning or thunder or terribly windy. We play soccer in the rain. So I'm done. I don't have anything else. Anything I need to add? Guys, Phyllis?
I'm Phyllis Wilson, Lexington Soccer League. I'd like to add that, of course, I'll you back to the getting our program started years ago. And our referees, they are our feeder program to go on where they referee other games for colleges. We've had several referees go to that, advance to that, and Don has been instrumental in doing that. Mary Frances actually has done that, has refereed. So this is a great opportunity. Keep this in mind that as we advance our referees, are just not here for our recreational league. They do go on into high school and college, into state league games, and they earn very good money as a college student. And as a former parent of a college student, I really liked it when she would come home with about $300 or $400 from a weekend of recreation. So always keep that in mind that we do strive to push them on to carry that talent on into college games too.
One thing about Don Eubank, he's got his Boy Scout troop here, but Don Eubank is on the board of the Tennessee State Soccer Association, executive board, and he handles the officiating assignments. So those state league games that we have here, large credit goes to Don Eubank for having those. Here. Sure, absolutely.
Just to give you an idea, guys. At first, thank you. Thank you for allowing my Boy Scout. And thank you, Philip, for inviting me on this, because I wouldn't know about it. And, say we killed two birds with one stone. It's kind of nice to be here in a really good light. So thank you for that. As a state board member, it's kind of pretty cool to get to see the growth of soccer. And what's really cool is to actually see a working board. We have about 225 clubs across the state of Tennessee, about 65,000 youth playing soccer in the state of Tennessee. Of those 225 clubs, I bet you I can't name you 10 that have a working board like Lexington does. They have boards in name, and they'll have 1 or 2 or 3 paid employees or members that are getting paid to do a job to advance their program. But actual working boards that does what this board does is unreal, and it's unheard of across any platform across the United States. There are 55 state associations across the country. So that's unheard of. So congratulations to you guys for actually having a true working board. That is, and it shows by the number of kids you have playing soccer every spring and fall. So as far as it goes for your complex, you're the only public complex on a rotation for state league in Midwest Tennessee. Midwest Tennessee is its own district. It's all of West Tennessee outside of Shelby County and the 4 connecting counties of Shelby County. So anything outside of that is considered Midwest Tennessee in our district. You are the only public parks that's on rotation for state league games. And you're competing against 2 private schools in Jackson. And you're really not competing, it's just a rotation. They get a certain weekend, Lexington gets a certain weekend. And then the teams get to come in and just fill those gaps. You had 40 last year, you may have 60 next year, you may have 30. It just depends on how the weekends rotate out for the other two that you're involved in rotation. Because it's about a 9-week season, so you get about 3 weekends to put those games in there. So it's pretty impressive that there's a public park going up against private schools in that rotation. And again, Jackson, Madison County does not have that. And I have no problem saying that out loud. So congratulations to you on that. Phyllis,
Sure.
you have a referee working inside the professional ranks of soccer right now that started right here in Lexington. Done.
That's right.
So, and worked the Sweet 16 match this year for NCAA. Then you also have another referee that worked in the NCAA final this year that started here in Lexington. So, instrumental in that impact. You also have a national championship that came out of Lexington, Tennessee, that wears a ring for college. So, congratulations, you guys. You have done really, really well. And thank you. We as a state association, Tennessee Soccer, we appreciate leagues like yours.
Thank you.
Right.
Philip. Appreciate it.
All right.
Philip, I'll add too, I guess, growing up in the community, y'all may not have known this, but my dad actually got his league started with soccer back in the 90s. I played for the Coca-Cola Classics and the Sonics team. So there's several people, Mr. Gorski back there remembers those days. So I say that to say there was a lot of people at that time that put some effort into it and it fizzled, okay, over the years. And but soccer to me is it's a bright spot in my memories back in the day of playing multiple sports in Lexington. But I don't care to say this, soccer to me is probably the most successful league we've had in the last 20 years. I mean, Lexington Little League is a great one, but I mean, with that said, it's been stable. It's a bright spot in our community. I get comments about it regularly. I mean, and I have no kids in it. So, with that said, you guys have done a great job. I think it was a great investment by the city of Lexington.
Absolutely, it was.
I had nothing to do with that, but to me, that's one of the focal points in our community. Y'all been doing a great job managing it, and I love seeing the smiling faces of kids that get to use it regularly. So that's what it's all about.
You know, when you pass by on Saturday and it's like early morning, I think it's just jam packed, and then, it amazes me how much soccer has really grown. I know absolutely nothing about it, nothing, but,
Well, if you want to coach a team, we can hook you up.
Well, even let you work the concession stand.
My committee is concessions, and I know you can do
I can
that.
do that. I can do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I can do
And
that.
also be reminded, if you have children that are not in soccer, please send them out there in high school. We do community service hours for your high schoolers. We sign their forms, and they work in our concession stand, referee, and things like that.
It's a part of beta.
Yes.
We love seeing our beta volunteers every weekend.
And I'm sure
We
there
meet
are.
at VFW every morning, every Saturday morning, and I can tell you, it starts about that time when you have soccer games, and I can tell it's very efficient because they sit right there and they start taking up money, and I would say by 10.
Confidence. There's a lot of children that probably start that really don't have any confidence in themselves, and then by the time they learn, they really have a lot more confidence and a lot more self-esteem.
Right.
So thank you, Philip, the board members, the parents, and the players, because you couldn't do it without them. So thank you for being here.
Then we need to give them a hand.
You really want to support? Cheer on USA tomorrow as we play IRM.
That's right.
Oh,
We got a
yeah.
big vaccine.
Say, we need a win tomorrow.
Need that bad.
We tied the wheels 1-1. Let's do better.
And you guys are welcome to stay. We have a lengthy agenda, but you're welcome to stay here and whatever you want to do. But we're glad that you did this time. Thank you for that.
Thank you, guys.
I'm gonna have to learn a little bit about soccer. I don't know a thing about it. You feel I didn't know that. Okay, we'll move on, with the meeting to 9.2. Discuss times of beer sales. Mr. Ellis, I think you asked this to be put on the agenda.
I asked 9.2, discuss time with beer sales because I was contacted by a couple of people to see if the times could be changed to match that of the county. City, I think it's not before 12 o'clock on Sundays and not after 3 a.m. But right outside the city limits, it's basically 24/7. And within the city, packaged liquor stores open at 10, but beer sales don't start until 12. I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I was asked to bring it up, and if we could discuss it this evening.
I thought we'd make that the same.
Well, I thought whenever we voted, they found out on the liquor sales was, that we had a state guidelines, and they dictated ours. They told us what they was. I thought that now we made our beer sales exactly the same as the liquor sales. Is that correct?
That's what,
Can we do that?
Remember talking about that, I think that's a mirror.
I mean, the state dictated, not us. And what we did was, that night we voted, that we had it stricter. We had to loosen it up because the state guidelines predicted we had to do it this way. And we have recommended that we do beer and liquor exactly the same night.
Does the liquor store not open at 10? They don't match.
They talk, whatever says, Cody probably what
We got it at it says 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. on Monday through Saturday, or between the hours of 3 a.m. and 12 noon on Sunday. That's what it is now, right?
Yes, and we're trying to remember if that was on-premise consumption or package stores.
I think that's on-premise consumption. That it's not the liquor sales. Liquor sales is a lot more broader than that.
I remember trying to mimic it, that was.
And we'd have to look and see what that is, but I'm afraid it's pretty wide open either way, but I thought, and they'd have to go back and look, but I believe we voted that night. Just I remember my recommendation, what Jeff said, we had to hear to what the alcoholic liquor for the drink and liquor sales is dictated by the state, not the city, the county. And they tell us what hours we can and we can't do it because we got a little bit tighter and they open them up. But all I know is I thought at the same time we put the beer sales at the same time as the liquor sales. Now, the consumption part I don't remember, but I know the sales was with the night.
Fred, did you say the county is 24/7?
For sale. Yes.
For sale.
For sale, yeah.
For beer.
For beer, there.
Beer.
I don't know about
You know,
There's a 2-hour window in liquor sales, some of it shuts down on Sunday. If my memory serves me right, 10 to 12 or something like that.
Yes, you're right, I'm not sure the time.
There's only one day that's got 24/7, that's how I recollect what it was. You have to look back at the meeting.
I don't know when they close, but they open at 10.
3 o'clock.
I don't know when they close on Saturday.
3 o'clock.
Huh?
They all close at 3 a.m.
3
I
a.m.
remember us talking, because the beach lake, we were having people buy it before they came to the lake,
Right.
and that was a part of the topic, I remember talking about it, and we did, the intention was to mimic, the state guidelines, because we were stricter than the state guidelines at the time.
Well, we was told that we couldn't have it both ways.
Okay, there you go.
We said we'll have to, because the state sets those guidelines, not us. But we did have that priority for liquor. We vote in liquor by the drink.
Yeah.
Then the state kind of reviewing authority not to do it.
So as far as the beer sales, is it supposed to mimic or is it separate?
I'm just
It's
saying,
separate.
we'll have to go back and see what that meeting said. That meeting says we made the liquor and the beer sales coincide because that's what they requested us to do.
I thought we made it to nothing to be sold between 3 a.m. and 12 noon on Sunday.
That's what it says.
That's what it says.
And I don't think we should change that. We did that out of respect for churches.
I don't know, we'll just have to go back and see what we voted. I don't know what we voted that meeting, I really don't. I know we mimic whatever the guidelines for the liquor or the drink is. We'll just have to see what it is.
So you can buy liquor, but you can't buy beer.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
I think it's the same.
No, yeah, no, liquor's a lot more lenient.
Yeah, you can buy liquor, but you can't buy beer
And
in the city.
I don't know. I thought it was the same.
I did too. I thought we changed it to make it the same.
We can look back at it.
Had that meeting
Yeah,
when-
we're wasting time talking about this
Yeah.
in this meeting.
Okay.
And Mr. Wood, check on it
Put it
for us.
on the next meeting,
Thank you.
okay?
Cody, you gonna check on that?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna move on to 9.3, is discuss the landfill agreement. I think, Mayor McCready is here. Mr. Richard Holland is going to, kind of go over this with us and give a little bit of information.
Just as a lead-in, Mayor Griggs had asked me to come up here and brief y'all that on your agenda was this agreement between the county and the city for the landfill, and just to get you up to speed on the old Bale field down on 22 south of here. So I'm not going to go back through all the history of it, but I'm going to give you just a short history of it. In 2019, 2018 is the first time that I found a record that TDEC, Department of Environment and Conservation, the regulatory agencies, issued a notice of violation to the county, and they had about 6 or 8 deficiencies that needed to be corrected. I found a letter dated 2019 to the county mayor, who had been Mayor Bray at that time, basically with the same 6 or 8 items. So apparently the first letter didn't get any attention, so they issued a second letter. And I understand from talking to Eddie that they said that there would be legal action taken if they didn't do something. So Eddie said that he would take care of it, that he would get something done. So in early 20, he asked me to get involved. I live at Sardis. I've been a president of Henderson County most of my life. I've been on the Sardis City Board for 30 plus years. And I work for Packaging Corporation, the paper mill over at PCA, over at Pickwick, and operate landfills. That's what I have done in my career for 30 years, is I operate landfills. So I told Eddie I understood solid waste regulations, and I'd be glad to advise him on this. So we met with TDEC, got an understanding of what they wanted us to do. We had to hire an engineer. We used CEC out of Nashville, which I know the city of Lexington had used before. And there was allegations of groundwater contamination, so they put together a plan to do some borings down there to make sure that nothing was seeping out of the landfill and getting into groundwater. They surveyed the landfill. They put together a report to go to TDEC. They drew up plans for what needed to be done down there. So that was during 2020. In 2021, the county hired Ben Wood. Y'all may know him. The leachate, the liquid that soaks out of the landfill and goes into a tank and has to be disposed of. He was already doing that for the county. So he had experience down there at that landfill. So in 20, they hired him. I stayed with him a lot of the time during 20 down there, watching him dig trenches, put in collector pipes and everything. And by the end of 21, it kind of took him all summer. He done a little bit of work down there, and then he'd go do something else and come back. So it took most of the summer of 21. By the end of 21, he was done. And so I got TDEC out there. They inspected it. They said everything is good, no deficiencies whatsoever. I committed that I would do at least monthly inspections for the next year to ensure that nothing went south on us, so that everything is still good. And I finished them up last month. That was the 1 year thing. So I can assure you I've been to that landfill at least monthly, most of the time at least weekly, and everything is good down there now. The leach mowed it for us. So I guess my point to you is if y'all look at this agreement with the county tonight, you're starting from a level playing. Be done down there. As of today, everything is in full. It's for a 20
you choose to enter into this. So that's all I was going to do, is just to tell you that all the deficiencies that were identified some years turn it over to the mayor and let him discuss the agreement with you.
All right, so obviously, I advise you guys not to split the cost no more because the county has not upheld their end of bargain on the maintenance of the landfill. After this, everything's done. For 5 years, the landfill is set to go into care mode. I forget the name of that, what it's called. It's in the contract. Basically, like the landfill we have behind our class 3. So right now it's in a 50-year, you don't have to do nothing but bush hog it. So we're 8 years away from that. So this, I'm asking for you guys to consider coming back into an agreement and get this landfill closed out. Any questions on it?
Has the mayor talked to the attorney on this? What was the old contract? You remember what it said?
I can't quote it to you, but basically it's 50/50 ownership to begin with.
I don't remember. I guess what I'm asking is,
We need to operate.
is this a reaffirmation of an old contract?
Because the old contract listed the class 3 landfill that the county didn't have any business with. It also other entities that's not involved. Waste Industries, that's why we had to renegotiate the contract based off the old one because it was obsolete. The old contract stated that with Waste Industries involved, when they left, the contract had to be renegotiated. And that's what we've done here.
So y'all renegotiated?
Yes, I've sat down with the mayor, talked to both attorneys, and Mr. Richard Hall has been involved also.
What we're looking at here is what y'all negotiated.
Yes, sir.
And the one that attorney said.
Looks good.
You recommend signing?
Yes, sir.
I see in here it says $10,000. We're gonna split that.
That's for any catastrophic things, but also inside that agreement, there's some timber sales or anything we can make money off. It goes into account where we can have expenditures. As long as we're maintaining, hopefully we won't see anything catastrophic. The biggest thing is where we need agreement because both our names are still on the deed.
Who's gonna police this?
My office will. My office will. And you guys will have just as much right. We'll get you a key and do the same thing. Well, let me back up and say that. My office will do, but TDEC is still under inspection annually.
Oh, yeah,
right? So TDEC's looking at it every year anyway.
Renegotiate every 5 years.
Yes.
Ken, you're comfortable with that?
I am.
I'll entertain a motion that we.
This is one-time cost, $10,000.
Mm-hmm. Say, for instance, something comes in and I don't even know what would happen. You have any instance?
No, I mean, I cannot imagine that level again.
I can't either, unless a meteor
It's
hits it.
maintained on a yearly basis, mowed and all that.
Maybe a wildfire or something like that. Just
I have a motion from Mr. Williams to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Tim or Fred, either one, Kristen. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Woodward? Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you guys. Also like to thank Mr. Richard Holland for
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
all his free work he did. Yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You've done a lot of that, haven't you, Richard?
Okay, moving right along to 9.4 is discuss Cecil McNabb underdeveloped lot in Beasley subdivision. Cecil, you're here. Ms. Marshall?
You got your road built yet?
I wish.
Okay, before we get started, I want to make sure
Yes, ma'am.
it was agreed that, you would put in the cul-de-sac and all that, right?
No, ma'am, it was not. It was agreed that I would do the road.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the road, okay.
There has some things come about since that time that I think you should all know. I cannot legally do anything to that road. That road is under the jurisdiction of restricted covenants that is recorded in the courthouse, where Beasley Development has full authority over anything that's done on that road. So in essence, the only people that can work on that road is the city of Lexington, which has been dedicated to, or Beasley Properties. I have here from the restricted covenant that gives them the authority to do whatever they want to with the road. So it boils down to, from the legal advice that I've got on this, is that the city will have to go back and demand that Beasley Development Properties finish the subdivision as it is recorded on the plat, which should have been done whenever this was all done in the beginning. There is some things that's happened to this down through the years that it should never been. It's one of these good old boy deals. There was no bond ever put up on this, and there's nobody ever even tried to call a bond on it. Mr. Hensley, State Auditor out of Nashville, says that there is ways that y'all can pursue this and get it handled. But the only thing that my legal advice has told me, and I know in meeting with David Gyres several times on this down through the years, David always would say to me, Cecil, don't you do anything to that road. So I have learned recently that if anybody does anything to that road, they're going to wind up in a lawsuit.
With who?
Pardon me?
With who?
Beasley Development Properties.
Can
But why would they?
we get somebody to make copies of this for us?
It's in the recorded, here's a full copy of their.
Are they just sitting there with that road like that, waiting to?
They're waiting on somebody to do
Somebody to do something,
Mhm.
so they won't have to finish the subdivision?
That's correct. Now, the people signed off on this, as y'all well know, that this subdivision was complete, in which it is not. They signed off,
Let's hold on to that. Did this go to the planning commission?
yes it did,
Did the planning commission sign off on it?
yes they did.
Not this board?
Not the planning committee, here's,
Planning commission is the whole culprit behind this whole thing. The board
he
does not
sits
know.
on the planning board.
Huh?
Mark Ward sits on the planning board.
Yeah, but let's back up. I know it's a conflict of interest, because he should have never voted on anything to be part of that. Here's what I'm asking. Did or did not the planning commission sign off on this subdivision?
Did or did they not?
Did or did they not?
They did, here it is.
Okay, that's all I know. You know, this board didn't do it, but the planning commission did do it.
That's, can we get somebody to make some copies? Just to that one, that we
Cecil,
need
was
to.
that in the
There's
last
where they
night?
signed off on it. Here's a copy of the whole thing that's in question.
Mr. Cecil, was that not back in the late nineties?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I thought.
This
Like
has been
97,
passed around now for
97.
too long.
Well, when the gate to BZ was sometime in 2006, 2007, or Springs at BZ or whatever. it is.
So the road in front of your land is just dirt, right?
Pardon me?
The road in front of your property is just dirt, right?
No, it's gravel.
It's gravel.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I did not gravel it,
right, okay.
but it has been gravel.
But you can't do anything else with it.
No. Now, in fact, you were talking about the cul-de-sac. The cul-de-sac's not even in the city.
Okay.
It's not on this property. It was sold to the gentleman from Georgia whenever the land was sold back there.
That auctioned off,
Pardon me?
that was auctioned off.
No, that was sold, these are properties sold the land that is behind this subdivision to the gentleman from Georgia.
So they sold it.
That, and they, that cul-de-sac is on that piece of property.
But that was owned by
I do have one
whatever that.
question, and I haven't been on this board trivia long enough to know, but when did they start putting in, you had to do culverts, had to do the curb and gutters in subdivisions, was this prior to that or after that? When was this?
From what I can find out, the road will have to be built consistent with the roads that are there.
They don't have curb and gutters, do
They do not have curbs and gutter.
they? Right. And
That's
so
what-
we're talking about is we're talking about two different things. To go back and make them do would be to make them do what we should have done at that time, not what it is today, because they signed off and made that proposal when we didn't have that in our subdivision. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That is from what I can get from everybody, that the road will have to be developed as the roads are in the subdivision itself.
So who is they? Because I don't think Beasley Development even exists anymore, does it?
No, it is not. According to the Secretary of State, it is dissolved.
If my memory serves me correctly, because I was with the utilities in the nineties, and at that time, the name that you mentioned earlier, or one of you mentioned, he was on that. And also, it seemed like there was a former NFL football player that had a part of that.
That's
Corey Noel.
That's the other part.
That
That's
was,
the
That
other
was
part.
when
Okay.
Fountain was down there.
Okay, all right.
that was in 2006, first 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when I
Well,
was.
several of them foreclosed, some of which were connected on the road, so I'm not sure if that would, once you have a foreclosure.
So
kind
if
of-
somebody were to finish that road right up past you, there's nobody can see, because Beasley can't see, because they don't exist anymore.
Well, Janice Cornell has the money to finish it with. I'll grant you. And according to your rules and regulations that governs your body, it is the city of Lexington's responsibility to see that she does it.
You got a defunct entity, I mean, you don't have an entity.
Thank you, man.
And you're not gonna go out there. They can bankruptcy involved too, right? It's all discharged, liability. Nobody liable for the existence of the legal entity.
So who does it belong to?
Yeah, so where does that leave us?
I believe you would, what's been dedicated as a road has never been brought up to city specifications, so, somebody's gonna have to, give the money to do that.
What is-
Nobody else to do it.
It's clear who is supposed to do it. Ain't no question about
Belongs
that.
to the city, don't it?
No, it belongs to the Mark Ward and Janice Cornell.
Oh. Okay.
Other entities, there's nobody to hold liable because the entity was solved, even though the people exist, the entity is dissolved. So when they got dismissed from bankruptcy, I don't think they would still be liable. My guess is that would just, I think they all discharged. That was a question, not a statement, I'm sorry.
that property was foreclosed on the 17th of November of 2011. It wasn't, they did not go through bankruptcy. It was foreclosed on by,
Well, the property, but the deed with the entity that filed.
Who
The
is,
entity that owned those lots filed.
that has no effect on this. The developer of record is Janice Cornell and Mark Ward.
Not easily, well, I don't know, you may be right. I'm sorry.
Dymark was the one that went bankrupt. And that was Mark Ward and Dillahunty.
I hate to do
I
this.
tell you what, I'm gonna make a motion to table this
Yeah, we need to.
until we get a legal opinion exactly where we stand before we make any decision here tonight. And also, we don't do any decision on anything about doing sewer until this is also resolved. So it's only both of those until we get a legal opinion on where we are.
When you get the planning commission.
The planning commission, somebody's got to step forward and tell us, but they'll have, the planning commission, if they signed off, they'll see what climate puts us in, you know, they're entity of this city. And they're the mayor, we voted for them.
do we need to,
Where does that put us in, where does that put us? I'm just asking, that's a simple question. So where does, what legality do we stand is, we need an opinion from a lawyer or from our legal counsel before we move forward. So let's make a motion to table it and find out.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion?
Can you still put a septic tank there?
We're gonna table both of them, we don't do anything to find out where we stand.
do we think we should,
It's gonna take another 8 years.
I would hope not to say so, but the thing about it is, the.
I won't be here.
Signed off, and something didn't get transpired, so they have been appointed by the mayor, and we voted on them, or the board voted on them, so we're complicit in what's happening. Otherwise, we took what they told us, so we want a legal opinion where we at. If it take 8 years, probably not. 2, yes, maybe 6 months, I don't know. But legally, that's what we gonna have to do.
But with the septic, I don't think that that's going to be an issue. I really don't.
Well,
because
it's not, but what
No,
is-
but I know what you're saying.
Yeah, but we don't wanna imply something that may
Right.
not happen with quick.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken about this, that the court can instruct you to consistent performance of jurisdictional frequency on this.
I know what you're saying, but we have to go through that formality.
I believe that the court can handle that.
well, can we meet with the planning commission, or at least one or two members of that committee? And have Mark here?
We just need to get advice first. I'm like, we'll get legal advice of what, we don't know right now. We're all speculating. We've all heard about it over the years, and it's a bad deal. I mean, I'll be the first to say.
Well, I'll call for a vote. We've got a motion and a second. So I'll call.
What are we voting on? I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit hard of hearing.
To table it till we get a little bit more legal counsel. I know you feel like we're putting you off, but we need to make sure we've got this right. We're not really dealing with the septic right now, we're dealing with the street, so.
I understand.
We have to get a legal opinion, and if it is,
I don't blame you a bit.
and then if.
I have worked on it.
If they say we need to go to court and do something, that's what we do. We need a legal opinion, how to straighten.
Mr. White?
Yeah.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll see you again.
I suppose so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. What do we need to discuss about
I'm
putting?
not sure who.
Well, that was me. That's, talking to, citizens, and when we were talking about mobile lives, I went around and just knocked on doors and was talking to people. Something that came up multiple times, and since then, I've had actually 2 people on that street, and I think whether the police department will need to do a study or
Did anyone else on the board ask about Denison? Just about now, you could. Chief Lawson, are you gonna do a study for that street?
Yes.
Candy? Okay. And the one on Old Huntington, my memory serves me correctly, Arrow paving is kind of backlogged right now. Is that why that's not completed? Okay. You can't get this study done between now and the first of the year for Dairy Line and Denison?
Yes.
Fred, is that good for you? Okay. So I don't think we need to vote on that because we're gonna do a
You
study.
want Denison for a record, if you want Denison or not?
He didn't ask for it, but evidently someone did. Cody, do you know about the Denison?
That's what I'm gonna put them out there, if nobody's for it.
Maybe the mayor knew something about it.
Don't say that to me.
Well, we're gonna do a study on all three of them. Seven, discuss and approve bids for the low boy trailer.
We have 1 bid on that, trailer that we put out. And LMI Tennessee LLC for 54.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Along with other long list of items.
Yes.
Motion and a second, have any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Woodridge?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Mr. Jeff Gray, discuss Lexington electric system.
And I sent you a letter there that has all the bids. Low bid was 3.
Higher, did they do, I mean, a lot of times you get bids, you get higher because they don't really want it, or they just.
Yeah, I don't know why they're so high, but that's probably, they don't need to work.
Make a motion, we approve the bid by, the low bid.
Second, any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Point nine is discuss and approve filling vacancies.
This week and next week for keep going because lot more than what we could pay our people. But, you know, that's a decision y'all gonna have to make. I'm just bringing it in front of you. But be expecting, I mean, the lights have to stay on. They have to. For other people to do their, or we're gonna have to go the contract route. And I mean, the guy we lost last week, the hometown guy, great lineman, great guy. He strictly left because he's getting more money. And I can't control it. Survey out, as I've noted, it looks like, I'm just going to use linemen for example. Right. In our class, and I'm not saying we're the lowest, and we're dang sure not the highest, but to get the average of what was in that group on that survey of Tennessee Valley power producers like us, it was a little over $4 and some change for linemen. And of course, I'm not going to sit here and say linemen are the only ones that are unpaid. There's more people that work. You know, so I'm for doing a whole as a system. Now, there's real quick. I went through that. I'd have the numbers in front of you right now, but there were some that were on average that worked at LES, and the most were not. And I'll be the first to say, I don't care what the police chief makes. I don't care what the mayor makes. I don't care what anybody makes or what benefits they got. All I care about is LES. That's stamped on my head and has been since '85. Contractor. Oh, we want to pay them.
That was two apprentice linemen that left.
No, that was an 11-year veteran lineman.
Okay, but you said something about apprentice earlier.
We had an apprentice leave earlier, and then we had 11. To lineman status, but in 5 years, you know, we're close to what this guy was, had 11 years experience. So we've lost more than 11 years out of this one guy. And here sit some of them, and they can come, they can do whatever they want to, but I'm just, from a manager's standpoint, I'm telling you what I say. You know, their view's going to be different, I would think. You know, they're going to maybe just won't raise it for them. They don't care about anybody. I don't know. But as a manager standpoint, I see it that it's a system-wide thing. And can we train a cashier equivalent where we can alignment? Absolutely. We can afford to lose a cashier. A year, we can have them. Not that what?
We had, I guess, a little less than a year ago, Fred and Jimmy, we had a discussion about salary surveys. Mr. Graves had offered to do a salary survey for only the LES departments, and that was kind of the start to me. I was here in my industry. I mean, every industry is experiencing salary constraints and people. And you can rest assured they've done their homework before they went and started increasing all these wages. But I guess at that time I was for it, I'm still for it. I think we need to take a good look at a salary survey. Now, also was discussed, and I said this myself, if we do a salary survey, it makes no sense to do one if we're not going to listen to it. So, again, Mr. Graves has got some good examples now, and again, it's not just an LES, but any kind of skilled labor right now that, with industries that are struggling for help everywhere, if you can go hire somebody that's already ready to go, there's a lot of time and money invested in training, as Mr. Graves has told us many times before, but these other companies know that. Now, the only I will say is, we got to look at a radius. We can't, I'll just use banking world just because internet bank in California is paying a certain percentage on CD. Don't for us to address this, we're gonna have to really consider the salary survey. And I think Mr. Graves gives an example for his, department is great, but we do have a lot of employees in the city of Lexington that to me, if one department is 20% underpaid and one department's 3% underpaid, we can't get there in one swoop, but we've got to start making some headway somewhere. We've got to address it. I mean, so far, we really haven't. Now, I'll ask this too, on the cost of living, we gave a cost of living raise last year, and we called up the previous year. So this past year, what was across the board raise? I forget. Do you remember that?
3.9.
But we combined it though, 2 years.
5.9.
We did something to catch up from the previous year. You remember that, Cody? Or the catch up, like we had a 5.9 cost of living last year, and we had was it a one-time payment or another percentage raise for everybody?
It was a one-time payment, right?
There was one that was a greater of 2.9 or whatever the hourly equivalent was.
Was that a percent raise or was that just a one-time payment for the previous year?
Percent raise.
So it was 5.9 plus the 2 point whatever. So again, I'm just be sure everybody's aware of that. So actually they got a 5.9 plus 2 point whatever.
So it's 8.8%.
To catch up for 2 years. But granted, that's still, I think a lot of industries are having to face that, and that's being one time. That was a good pay. I hope everybody saw it that way. But with that said, I still think we're probably still under. And again, you know it better than anybody. So I think if Mr. Graves gave us the salary survey, but also I would probably be in favor of getting an outside third party to look at our whole system.
Did you figure that 5.9 into when you structured the raise?
We got 5.9 in July of this year.
No, it's coming, and they coming.
No, we gave that.
July
We already
1,
had it?
yeah, July 1 of 22.
July 1.
See, 21, we didn't give anything. We suspended raises
That's right.
at that time, but then we called up. So that's why it ended up being 5.9 plus whatever the catch-up was the intent. That's what I was trying to cover.
Don't quit this year. Get a plan to stay at that average so where we're not back here and we've got morale on the floor and you understand where y'all are. I don't want to be there.
And I want my lights on. When my lights go on, I want my lights on.
And I'll say the last thing, and I'll be quiet about it, but I mean, if we get a survey done and it says everybody's 20% under, I'll be the first to say, I don't know how we can go and give everybody a 20% raise. But we can start taking measures to have a plan, as you're saying, to how we're going to start gradually getting there. And again, we need to be aware of that because just not acknowledging it is not a good plan. And I think that's where you're coming from, and I agree.
If we don't do something, we're going to have to make a decision. Are we happy with, this, or do we want to try to keep our own people? I want to try to keep our own people for more than one reason. But, and that's just like tonight. If y'all say absolutely not, it's not going to happen. Myself and these guys back here and everybody else, tomorrow when that storm rolls through, we're going to do our job and get paid what we get paid. I promise you, they can't help it. They can't not stay at home when the storm comes through. They'll be there.
I talked with one not too long ago, and I was very impressed. And he was very kind and stated his concern, and it meant a lot to hear what he had to say.
Well, they appreciate their job and they appreciate working for the city, but they just, like anybody, want to get paid a fair wage compared to where everybody else is. Another thing's coming up is broadband. We're going to have to hire broadband people, broadband techs. Well, if you hire a broadband tech that's making equivalent or more than a lineman is, how's that going to sit in their money? I wouldn't like that because my job is a lot dangerous versus somebody that's fully capable. I'm making you aware of it. I hope you take heed and let's do something. I'll do whatever it takes if I need to do something. We've already done that.
And then after the first of the year,
Well, between now and the first of the year, I'm going to take my data that I had and find out a little bit, and I'll hand it back to you and say, you know, here's this job title, this is where we are, just so you can have
More
an
than
idea.
life, tell us about all of it.
Right, I give everybody that draws a paycheck. Yeah.
Can I ask an odd question? That is a serious question. As being part of the city, when, in my opinion, when you do give raises, it's hard to give one department when, as bad as you want your life, you want your life, you call it, vice versa. Government typically pays less than private industry, correct? Would it be better for the electric system to be a private entity separate from the city? That would alleviate all the financial issues, because then you would have either a company or a board or whatever that sets the pay rates that then could compete with other similar entities, because it's hard for a city who has to look at not only the electric system, but keeping the fire system, the police department, utilities, public works, keeping everybody whole without tax. It'd be better for the electric system to be separate.
Well, the electric system is separate by law.
I'm talking about governed or managed or whatever by somebody else.
The only other thing I know of would be to make it an energy authority. I don't think you can make LES a private company from the TVA Act that established.
You sort of see what I'm saying, though?
I do, and our authorities are not uncommon. And I don't know the pros and cons, I've never really looked into details, but I will if that's what you want.
Yeah, got a question for you. Mylan on the old utilities.
Mylan owns, Mylan Public Utilities.
They work like us, they got their own place, they own fire, their own utilities and everything. How does our salaries compare to what they draw at the Mylan Public Utility Department?
I have no idea.
Can you check and see?
I can check and see, and if they give me permission to use their numbers, I'll be happy
I
to.
would like that. They're, as far as size, they're pretty competitive to us. I mean, talking about the population and everything. But I looked at their budget, not too long ago, and it ain't $900,000 difference between our budget and their budget. I mean, we're running neck and neck, police officers, the firemen, and everything. So they're comparable to us. Now, they got a pretty good territory too, they run. I know they're going to Carroll County and other counties too, so I'd be curious to know how they compare.
Yeah, I'll get up, we'll compare, if, I know Jason well, and if he's comfortable with it, I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't be his public record.
Well, yeah, and the only reason is you tell him what your motive is.
Right, sure, I know him well, so.
I'm sorry, Gordon, I missed your first part. You said that Mylan owns theirs, sort of like, okay.
Mylan just like us.
Well, perfect example then. Give us a base point to go from.
Well, and that's the reason I said, he can compare to see where they are compared to us. I'd like to know, because, I mean, I look at their budget, and their budget parallels ours almost, it's just eerie how close it is what we got.
We have to. Give me something to do.
Like you don't have.
Well, I mean.
No, I'm serious, we have to do that.
And I get what Fred is saying, I understand, and I think this was tried to a little bit of an extent. I don't really think they put a lot of thought into it, they thought they managed it the wrong way, but that aside, if you was gonna make it its own entity and everything, it'd have to be a lot of thought put into it, is what the city's giving up, what the rec department's gaining, or vice versa, what the rec department's not gaining, and what the city is getting more or less. You gotta figure that out, okay? What we would consider a very large amount of revenue just because we don't like the way the pay is going. That's not a honest way to look at it. So I agree with you. I agree it's hard to do what we're trying to do here, and see what Gabe's saying. But at the same time, there's gotta be a leveling that we can all come to agree on. I don't think it's impossible. We just have to get that number. We had a pretty hard time with the budget last time. But we all come to agreement on that, and everybody kinda got what they wanted. They didn't get everything, but they got something. So I'm gonna do a little bit of work with that.
In history, I don't see them willing to give up LES because it's the third largest revenue draw for the city.
It's
So-
just almost, it's impossible. If we do that, our taxes are gonna go up.
That's right.
And the taxes are gonna go up, and that's not gonna mean they say, what was you smoking when you making that vote?
Exactly.
And I'm not smoking that for that.
Right.
I'm just saying.
One thing, and that's pay.
Yeah.
And we're not broke, and the way the model's set up, the TVA, we're not gonna go broke.
No, you're not gonna broke, good, you break up.
The city's not gonna go broke. I mean, it's just, anyway,
No, we'll have to raise taxes for the company, they gotta pay for what you owe.
that's right, it'll make
That's the way it
sure,
works.
and that's the same way TVA does us. If they
Same way
see
right
us,
here. If we
Yep.
spend the money, we gotta come up with it. That's the way it is.
so you want me to look at mileage?
I would just be interested in knowing what I know about Milan and their budget and where they're staffed like we are, the utilities and everything. I would be interested in where they are on their pay scale for the stuff. That's all I'm asking.
Do you want me to look at Energy Authority pros and cons, or let that sit for a minute?
I'm good.
Okay.
I was just asking a question. Just, eventually, we're gonna have to come up with something, you know, whatever it is. But that was just a question. That wasn't-
And it needs to be soon. Can't stand losing 11 years. I don't care what the job's on, I don't want to lose them. They've been there 11 years, I want to keep them.
I do have one last question. When you have job vacancies, you post it out to the
Yeah, what we have done, if it's a job internally that somebody is qualified for at LES, will paper it's open for whoever.
Would you ever consider that?
It's up to y'all.
No, not telling you how to run.
I mean, I kind of think, the reason some of our jobs are, nobody in the city can do that. Very few at LES can do that. So if we publish that job internally in LES, we're the only ones around there that have line. And I'd rather see our guys go up than bring somebody into that spot. So that we publish it inside LES. And then after that, we can do whatever. If y'all want to go to city, I don't know, let's just say it's a clerk job, you know, a CSR. And we can publish it inside our office. And then if it's not filled there, the next level can be citywide. And then if it's not filled there, the next level will be public.
I think that's the way, I like the way of doing things. I thought that's what we used to do.
To my knowledge, I don't think we ever have.
That's the way it should be.
That would be good. The lineman, no, there wouldn't be anybody qualified.
Well, if you're getting a brand new lineman,
That's
that had
something,
no experience.
that's something we ought to vote
You have
on.
somebody who, in the city, who may want to get into that. This is what you have to do. But it seems one thing the board talks about a lot, is taking care of each other. And it's obvious at times there has been dissension or areas of opportunity between the departments. This could be the start of a bridge between the departments. Just something to consider.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. I do have one more question. Do you think the electric department would like to make a donation to the lighting of the soccer field?
We can't. DVA will slap our hand. We, some history on that. Hang on, let me tell you. So some history on the soccer field.
These poor boys is hurting down here. We got all these kids. You can go to that a little bit and talk to them.
History on the soccer field. LES purchased poles, wire, everything to do with soccer fields.
Okay.
I did the design of it.
Okay.
I
know that.
I'm
appreciative of everything.
We had an agreement.
They're coming putting a squeeze on us, so.
We had an agreement with the city, and the city were to pay us back. And so the city paid, it was a 36-month note with a balloon at the end. So the city paid the 36 months.
Right.
And then they thought that was over. The balloon didn't exist, I guess is what the city thought. TVA stepped in and said, stop paying tax equivalent payments until you get your money.
Right.
And I said, seriously, and they said, we're gonna draft you up a contract and you take it to your board. And I don't think any of y'all were on the board at that time. But they stepped in and said, you gotta get your money back. So.
But y'all make donations like that.
To what?
I could get an agreement, like you can give a grant or something to somebody to get that lighting done. Can they do that? Baker System do that, I know.
If they
say our electric bill is terrible.
Sure.
Could we just kind of ask a little bit?
I can ask, yeah.
Appreciate it.
I don't care to ask.
You've been told no, man.
But here's, get prepared. If Parsons
We will not tell them. We won't even utter a word if you get this one.
Yeah, keep it out of the paper, Steve.
But that's what non-discriminatory acts is what TVA is after. So if we do
What I will ask this, what
or sodium burn on it.
okay, so if
Hey, look,
hypothetical, you can replace that bulb with an LED bulb, right?
I don't know that answer. That that was mentioned earlier, and I thought, I'm not so sure about that.
Well, I've seen some of them at work, but they replaced where you got that 277, you stick that LED lighting and put it right. My question is, did you find out what one of those bulbs costs to swap out?
Yeah.
I'd like to know.
If they're made and what they cost, yeah.
I don't. But how many have done that,
That's been,
Huh? 86 bucks. Well, that's not so bad, I thought it was.
That one field?
One field, 86 bucks times 4. Is that what it is?
There's 350 of them
If you
now.
got the bulbs, could you hang them?
If we got them, could we hang them?
If the city purchased the bulbs, then you get hanging.
It would be just like the city park, the way we do there.
You can do that.
The city has to buy the material, and we can provide the labor on some stuff.
You don't really have to hang them, though. You can screw them in where the bulbs are now.
We can check, and no, we can't come up with it.
You can't?
Not what we got out there, Dr. Knight, we checked.
Well, I don't know what.
We think we can get something that will match the proposal we got, if we can get somebody else.
Well, you better let me check on that, because I don't want to lie to you.
You never have. Just
I don't want to start. But I'm thinking at the city park, that's the way we do
You
lighting
have
out
out
there.
there several times.
And I don't think labor's involved, but you better let me check that.
They're gonna get back to me ASAP.
Yeah, before we go to bed.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's move on to 9.10, which is discuss and approve Stuart C. Irving contract with LES. It's pretty much just a 4 hour deal.
No.
It's a real deal.
What I mean
Yeah.
is, we've already approved Irby, so I mean,
Yeah.
get off in the weeds.
The reason this is back up is I got the contract. Ken and I talked regularly. And so we sent this contract to our attorneys in Chattanooga for them to go over. Of course, you know how it works with attorneys. Once you send them something, you think they sit on it for 2 weeks and they call it. So it's dragging out more than I want. But I have no control of that. And I'll let Ken speak as far as what's going on with the contract. It's not a whole lot, but we just got to iron out some details, and it needs to be done ASAP.
Using Miller Martin firm out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've known for a long, long time. They're very active in legislative and a lot of federal practice too. And what they're doing is digging into some of this stuff that some of these people have yet to really dig into, because if we get these grants and they actually pay the grant money out, they're going to want to know that we went by federal contracting standards. And so there's some questions there, just exactly what that means. And this is the work they're doing for us. And so it's work we got to do. It's on the front end. Hate to talk about extensions, but they dug into that, and there are there's capability to do extensions on these grants if we have to. And so these guys are working on it. They know what they're doing. They do it. I can't do what they do. And so they're going to look at it. They're not going to steer us wrong. So it's going to take a little time. Don't have a time limit on it. Week, month, don't know.
So what is Irby asking us right now?
They have told me contract signed by the end of November, 1st December. We can make it work, no problem.
Is that in the schoolhouse to get done?
Is it in the?
Is that in the realm of actually we can do that?
Yeah, the window opened up August 31st, 2022, and it closes in 25, August 31st. Stuart C. Irby says 24 months, 18 months, whatever you want. And I told them what I want is I want to creep for 6 months. I want everybody to understand what they're doing in the role and how the money flows and, you know, Southwest Development District and all that. So I'll get used to what's going on. Then after that 6 months, wide open.
Didn't Southwest just get the buildings?
They're in the process right now.
All right, so how'd they start there?
Well, they did RDOF grants. They got grants like we did too. But they've already been doing some RDOF stuff. They kind of stuck their neck out on a limb and started the project and getting grants, FCC grants for areas. So they got to jump on it. Mine look even better.
So we need to vote on this tonight.
I don't know that you.
Can
I don't know that you have to.
We already have.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
Do it, or I think, and you correct me. If you guys say go with it, if Ken's good, I'm good, attorneys in Chattanooga, work it out, we can do it, or I can come back to y'all and say, here's what we got worked out.
Or you can authorize the mayor to sign any documents necessary to make this thing fly and just push it all over him.
Yeah, I like that.
Put it on him.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Yeah. I second.
Get you out of it. We won't be coming back here anymore.
Yeah.
You will get updated.
I'm sure we will, if you don't want money.
I'm not going down by myself.
You don't want money, I need to come back.
Yeah. Well, and see, that's another thing, because Steve Bates, all we gotta do is give him a number.
Yeah.
And so he's ready to go. And then a performance bond came up in the discussions. You know, what if Irby doesn't produce what they say they're gonna produce? So I had a conversation with them, and they basically said, well, we don't, you know, have a performance bond in there per se, but we will if that's what you want, because, you know, it's gonna cost you money. Mm-hmm. Whatever it costs us, we're just gonna pass it to you. And Jeff, one of the guys, he said, I see that as a waste of money, because I know what we're capable of and what we can do and what we have done, but whatever it takes to make you comfortable.
Well, if I buy property, I buy insurance, I don't care if it's by the grandmother, okay? And the same thing is right here, we're talking $50 million. my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I think this board opinion, that's my personal opinion. But a performance bond means it's gonna get done, or somebody's gonna have to pay.
And there's also, and the lawyers in Chattanooga brought this up, there is state law that lets municipalities not get a partial performance bond. You gotta get a performance bond to cover the project. Because Irby said, why don't we do this? Why don't we get a bond for the amount of work that's going on at any time? And we'll keep it down to, let's say, $5 million worth of work going on at any time. And we'll get a $5 million bond to cover that. And you don't have to get a X bond, whatever number it is. But I don't think that's gonna be an option. I think state law is gonna make you get one to the 100%.
They put on this for performance bond?
Excuse me?
What percent they put on the performance bond?
Percent?
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a percent of the amount.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, this kind of money, 1% is a lot of money.
Exactly. I haven't checked. Jeff told me 1 to 5%, but that's just strictly hearsay. I shouldn't even.
Well, that's what I said. I figure it's gonna be 1% at least.
Yeah, I should have kept them out. But 5% on 50 million, you know what that is?
Well, the performance bonds are high. I know that. But the thing goes in, if we opt out and don't do that,
You can't do that.
what is that? I say you have to buy, I say we have to buy a performance bond.
Well, good,
That's prudence. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, I'm talking, that's all.
good example of that is the interstate work. It just, I don't know if those guys had to end up paying $30,000 a day, but we don't have to do that.
It'll be up to, $2.5 million.
I will ask this about the performance bond. Does it have like does it have to be a certain amount? Or does it have a percent based on what you're gonna spend, or you have to buy the whole amount and tell them what it's gonna be?
What I understand, a little bitty, but it's the total project cost, and it's gonna be some percentage of that total project cost. So we've got 3 different projects, so we'll have to have 3 different performance bonds, but, the total will be the same, but there'll have to be 3 of them, 1 for each project.
Would Steve be able to shed any light on that? Steve Bates? So that just, okay.
Saddle, performance bond.
No. They just said if you sign it late November, 1st of December, we won't have a problem getting started early Q2 of 23, and hopefully have somebody hooked up late Q2 of 23. So April to June.
What exactly? I'm kind of missing something in this
We're already in the
conversation.
hole.
What exactly is this, these attorneys in Chattanooga? What is their problem with the whole thing?
They want to make sure that all the federal regs are right on contractors and things like that, so that when it comes down to it, they'll actually pay you the grant money.
That's TVA attorneys.
No, it's good.
We work for TVA, but we've got all kinds of federal law about who can be a contractor and who can't be a contractor. This is what they're looking at.
Okay.
So if you don't pass the federal law and they find out somehow or the other you didn't meet federal qualifications, they might jerk your grants.
Okay.
But they're not having a problem with Irby.
No, they're not a problem. If they got
Who knows what's going to happen? What if they have an earthquake?
That's when we're gonna get into that. Grant. So we don't really know what to satisfy the grant. We know what they have said, but we don't have it on paper.
We got to sign and go. Let Jeff permission to sign.
authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents necessary to complete the project.
Right.
Now,
Now, what
one
about-
more question, do we need to vote to do
Performance
a
bond.
performance bond?
Yeah. Okay,
But the question is that the deal with the board?
yeah.
He said that that made it. Jimmy just made it.
Call the roll, please. Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes. Are you gonna stay or are you gonna leave?
To unclaimed property, Captain Middleton / Chief.
Before tonight for your consideration is, the first reading of this ordinance. Our due diligence and research, we realize that our utilities various people who that are on our books right now, from the utilities division that are on the books right now. We have to, there's a legal requirement under state law that says that unclaimed monies and unclaimed property is property of the state of Tennessee. So we have to have, by is the first reading of that ordinance on how procedurally we would do that, how we will make those reports, and that will give us the ability to deal with that unclaimed property. And the next item on the agenda is the police department policy and procedures, and it references this procedural in this ordinance so that we can kind of take care of that for the city. We're supposed to be making an annual report to the state treasury, Department of Treasury, about unclaimed property. We deal with everything from bicycles to backpacks to you name it at the police department. It's quite the ordeal to manage that. So that's the purpose of this ordinance, and I would entertain any questions you may have about that. I did learn from Cody in this research that this is definitely something with that unclaimed money we need to deal with, because it could be an audit finding for us if we were to have to deal with
You
that.
actually do the gas deposits or deposits that are 85 years old, or you will take care of it?
We will take all care of all the unclaimed property for the city. We'll just reach out. That's kind of the way Cody and I have talked about it. We'll just reach out to everybody, get with the utilities divisions, give us that information. Yes, ma'am.
And the treasury takes it and does whatever they do and send out letters, whatever, to those individuals.
We have to do our due diligence as a city, and that John Smith, the correct one, then it goes to the state of Tennessee in John Smith's name. And currently the state of Tennessee is sitting on well over $1 billion in unclaimed monies of the Department of Treasury. So you actually have a website you can go to. You may have some money there. You just never know. So it's amazing. So any questions? Any more questions?
Now I'll entertain a motion to approve first reading of the ordinance relative to unclaimed property.
Come on.
Second.
Motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Woodridge?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood? Yes. Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Then the next one, Lexington Police Department policy update.
That matter specifically deals with our evidence of property control. It reflects an addition of handling unclaimed property for the city and making that annual report. It also allows us to make a change to make our evidence custodian a civilian employee as well as one officer, gives the chief of police the discretion to do that. So everything else in there, there's a whole lot of, that's a very lengthy document, but those are the only changes that are made to existing policy or those particular sections. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wilbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Next one is 9.13, discuss and approve LPD surplus.
Hopefully you have a list in front of you of LPD surplus property. These are items that have depreciated out of their useful life, telephones. We have some vehicles on there. We're gonna rotate out at least 4 different vehicles. Obviously, the assistant chief would have been heavily involved in the process, so we're still in the process of determining exactly which vehicle and working on that. So, any questions that you may have about our existing phones?
Do I have a motion to approve the surplus?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. White?
I second.
Again. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wilbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
And I think you're up for 9.14, discuss and approve bids for fire department driveway at Station 3.
I'm going to ask the board to consider tabling this matter for tonight. We have found out some of the foundational issues for that problem at Station 3. What we have determined is that underneath that concrete is sand. And so the remedy for that is going to require, because you've got, John, was about almost a 48,000 pound truck is what's causing that issue. And what's underneath it is essentially sand, and that's it. It was never designed for that. So with that in mind, with the original design that was submitted, that is going to exceed our budget amount. And I've talked with the captains at the fire department, the assistant chief, and we think that we can procedurally do some things to drop that cost within the budget amount and go back to the drawing board. And so I don't want to do any of that, and I want to bring you back a plan that's within your budget. So if you'll permit me to do that, I want to push that back until we can get some answers to some questions and bring that back on.
All right, well, we'll just take that until.
Yes, ma'am. I'll get that back to you hopefully by the next board meeting.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, the next one is 9.15, discuss and approve TAC resolution. Michael, you're up.
Sent you guys an email last week concerning this. Sandy can vouch for me. The most complicated thing in the world is natural gas and the measurements and this and that. So this is a pretty complicated transaction. TAC entered into a fixed price prepaid deal back in November 2018 and using fixed bonds. Okay, it's time to renegotiate those fixed bonds. In order, since we're a participant in that, we have every city involved with this has to adopt a resolution. We adopted a resolution in 2018, and it's time to renegotiate these bonds, and that's for refinancing, and that's what we're here for today. The prepaid, if you look on your actual resolution, it says a minimum of 5 cents per MMBTU will be our savings. Most likely, our savings are going to be between 25 and 28 cents per MMBTU. We just basically had to put a number in there. And so 5 cents was the consensus of all the cities involved with this of putting 5 cents.
We vote on this, what, every 5 years?
Well, it just depends on whatever time this will be, 5-6 years, but and I think in your packet or in the email I give you, it gives you a basic or the description of what this whole transaction is in the email I sent. Like I said, it's complicated, but I mean, it's something that we've been involved with, and we have saved a lot of money with being with TAC, and the reason why is because we've been involved in these prepaid bills on natural gas. And what those savings are is whatever time that this gas is purchased or purchased in the future, if they lock in, let's say 25 cents per MMBTU, that's 25 cents less of what the market value is. So we're automatically getting gas a lot cheaper and it's because of the volume of gas they're able to buy. This is over $1 billion most likely. We're just a very, very, very small part of it.
So moved.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Williams? Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
The one other thing on that resolution, if you'll notice, the daily amount was 450 units. That's how much we're committed to every day. So we just left that number the same amount. So if you had a question on that. The next resolution I have is, of course, you know I'm leaving in March. The Lexington has a seat of the board, TAC, Tennessee Energy Acquisition Corporation, that I've been on for the last 15 years. Lexington being a chartered member, we're granted a seat on the board of directors. In order for me to leave that seat and someone else in the city of Lexington going, there has to be a resolution adopted by the board, which their resolution is asking for Justin Rhodes to take my place on the board.
So moved.
Motion. Second. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winters?
The last one, discuss approved write-offs of gas, water, wastewater, and garbage and collective accounts.
Okay, this is one of those months I don't mind coming to you. If you notice, our total is $2,994.83. I will say the reason why this is Tiffany Bowman that works in our office is taking a real stand on this, and she has done an excellent job. Now, I'm not saying that there not be months that we're higher, but we're probably $2,500 at least less than what we would have been if she wouldn't have done the things she's done in the last 2 weeks and the people she's contacted. She's done a really good job on this, and she's spent a lot of time on it. She's done a good job. To answer your question you normally ask, out of 21 accounts, 18 of these are actually rental properties.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion, have a second?
Second.
Second. Call the roll, please.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Winters?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Oh, our Christmas dinner. Thursday night, December the 15th here at 6 o'clock. Thursday night, December the 15th at 6 o'clock. All of you and your families are welcome and invited to join us for our Christmas dinner here.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, the next item on the agenda is 9.18, discuss charter changes. And I think this is something that Mr. Johnson did bring to our attention, and we do need to maybe discuss it.
That was the,
What was the vacancies, like if someone passes away or?
yeah. There's some discussion about that. If an alderman becomes unable to serve for whatever reason, and I'm making this as a motion, that they be appointed by the until the next election, not to complete the term, but until the next election. say if there was a vacancy, right now, the person would be appointed until October of next year. And then they would have to run again.
Even though they weren't in that cycle, they
Right.
would run. It would keep everything on the same cycle.
Right.
What about the name?
Now you might end up having 5 people run one time, because it's not, I'm saying not till the end of the term, but until the next election.
So you could have 5 one time and 2 the other.
Yeah.
One thing is, you're gonna have 4 and 3 coming due, so that's what it's been forever.
So
It's not gonna make any difference.
Well, just, you got experience, so if you turn over the whole board in 1 year, that's not a good thing. I wouldn't think.
We did it for years and years and years until 2000.
I'm looking at Cody over there to see if he had any, I thought he was gonna get some information, that's why I'm looking over there at him.
Got a draft, but it's not with me. And, if I'm printing off my phone, but basically what MPAS has prepared states that, if there's a vacancy, it would be filled amongst the board, like Alderman Johnson said, until term. So basically, you wouldn't have anybody that's appointed for longer than 2 years. The board fills the vacancy amongst themselves for the unexpired term. Even if there's an upcoming election, if that person was just the board would select the mayor at the next meeting.
I thought the way it is, the vice mayor step in until the next election.
I thought, we got a motion on the floor. Do you guys?
Feel, select, the next. Well, the draft language MPF prepared would be to the next election.
But today,
Today,
Alderman in there.
Alderman's not term, is he? Oh, I thought the Alderman was. That's the motion I made. And Alderman will be appointed until the next election. We hope we never have to do that again.
Do a mayor separate.
Not
all together,
or?
Do what?
Mayor's already stated next election, right?
No term, no.
Yes, they term.
Yeah, I'll include the mayor in there too. But you get appointed, you know, if you get appointed, there's 3 years left, it's, I'll just say, I think you need to get out there and campaign the next time.
Just think the only concern, I'm not disagreeing, I'm just putting my point out is that over time, if you did that many times, you would get to where you had multiple positions coming up for election in the same year. So by right now, it's 4 or 3, which will always keep a consistent amount of experience on the board. Because if you had, heck, I mean, everybody's been new. I was new. I didn't know nothing. If there was 5 or 6 people in my position when I first got on this board, that would be a good thing in my opinion. So that's why I would not be.
I think it'd be a wonderful thing if the mayor and all 7 aldermen were elected the same year. I think that was a mistake that was made when that changed.
And just to clarify, this would keep staggered terms.
No,
Do what? Cody?
What MCAS has proposed is, let's say you have a vacancy and someone has just been elected. So, the next election, they wouldn't normally be up for re-election. But the board has appointed someone to fill in as alderman. They'll be up for election at the next scheduled election. They'll be up for election for the unexpired term. So they would run for election for 2 years only. And then that position would be on the same schedule as it normally.
That changes my thought process.
Is that what you're
proposing?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Until the next election, and then, you know, to feel it, it's like, for instance, if somebody that's going to be running in next year.
I thought that meant 4 more, you know, when you get elected, you have a 4-year term. So I thought that would be starting a new term, which
I'm saying until the next election. We have an election every 2 years. So it's like Cody said, the maximum, I remember years and years ago, there was an alderman re-elected, and I think he died election night. I don't know how they handled that, but I'm just saying if that had happened, and of course back then they had 2-year terms.
I'm with you now, because you're saying that they'll be elected to finish a term out, not be elected for 4 more years like everybody else will.
Right, and then the next time.
Second your motion, Jack.
Yes.
Then what I'm saying is the next time you would only, if you ran, you'd run for 2 years.
All right, have a motion and a second. I thought we had any more discussion. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Woodard? Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes. Okay. Last item on the agenda is discuss Public Works Director position. We're back at this again.
What are we going to do? Are we going to set a time for interviewing?
Well,
or are we going to open it up to the?
Well, before we get started, I think one applicant has pulled out. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So instead of having 6, we're down to 5.
Who is that?
Me.
Okay.
I didn't know that till today. I'm trying to hide anything. I just frankly.
I don't remember seeing your application.
So, in looking at the candidates who apply, are we obligated to interview everybody?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they applied.
You never applied for a job that they didn't call you back or you didn't get an interview?
So you gonna vote on who the council?
No. I'm just saying, do you have to?
I'm just asking, you got to do that, you got to vote on who you council. You have to call everybody.
Can I throw something out here? What we do with the state, you have people to get their resumes. If they do qualify, then you interview them. If they don't qualify, then you're not subject to it because they don't meet the minimum qualifications. So, in that case, if there are some that do not, you don't have to interview them.
Who decides what's
But
Well, if
that would
we've
have
got
to
the
be,
job description, then we should know.
HR director.
that would be decided in a meeting, and it would have to be an open meeting. Right?
Well, how about this? Make a
Am I
motion.
correct? Is Ken still here? I think, you know,
H&R, you don't have to have open
yeah, the
meetings.
interview, say,
No, you
we
don't.
got 5 people now.
Unless you form a committee to do the interviews.
You can form a committee to do the interviews.
Can't you have do we have an H&R director?
We got an HR
We got H&R?
HR director.
Okay, don't they go over the qualifications of the job?
I
They
don't,
give us the ones that's qualified to go over.
Well,
With that, but I would assume if there's a list, I'd
but
assume there's a list of qualifications.
department head is hired by the Board of Aldermen.
Right, but they have somebody go and bring us the ones that's qualified, right?
Well, we have a list, we have the job description, right? We all got the job description for Public Works Director. I'm just putting this out here. We read it, we know what the qualifications are, the minimum qualifications. We have applicants now, 5. If there's, nobody meets that, then we start again. But if there's somebody that meets those qualifications, you interview those, and you don't have to interview the ones that don't meet it. I mean, we ought to be able to look at their application and see whether they meet it or not.
All right, I got a motion.
Wait just a minute. Ken has said we can appoint a committee to interview everybody.
Yeah, well, if whoever you want to interview for meet qualifications,
Yeah.
you want a committee to meet with them. You don't have to do that before an open board.
But you don't have-
Hiring will have to be before an open board.
But then that committee has to come back before the board and say, okay, this is who we recommend.
That's right.
All right, I'm making a motion that we have 5 applicants that, my motion is that we interview all 5 15-minute intervals at a called meeting at night, not during lunch. Because it's obvious some of our lunch meetings, each of us have different issues pressed for time. So let's do it one evening, interview all 5 15-minute time slots.
I'll second that because, 15 minutes doesn't sound like a long time when you take your life. But I was asked to make a speech one time when the airport opened. Want me to speak for 3 minutes.
So you second it?
Oh, I second that. I was thinking that you say a lot in 15 minutes.
Okay, so we've got a motion on the floor to interview, and a second, to interview all 5 applications.
At a call meeting.
At a call meeting, at night. What night? We might as well put it all together and do it at one time.
5 o'clock.
On Monday, that 3rd Monday that we did away with our,
You got Christmas.
Now, we don't normally have a meeting in December, but we can have a call meeting to do this.
let's look at it, John. Let's do it soon.
I don't see waiting until the end
No.
of December.
We got some, I don't know, do we even have an applicant that lives in the city? All five live in the county, so.
That can be asked of the applicant during the interview process.
Well,
because there's already been
Don't matter.
a charge change.
Okay, but I'm saying if all 5
So it don't matter.
live in the county,
But we need to wait until that's approved.
Well, if we wait till March or April, then we're pushing it way too far out, but these applicants would need to know that the stipulation is that we don't have a guarantee that the General Assembly would actually pass that charter.
that's true.
So,
Unfortunately, we haven't done this in the past.
So, I mean, they couldn't actually go in, the applicants couldn't go in thinking, okay,
I
I
got you.
automatically can live in the county, I don't have to move to the city.
Right. Well,
He can be discussed in the meeting, and, once we make the decision of who it is,
We
address
can-
that. The 8th of the 15th? That's
We
Tuesday
can-
night?
The 8th is the police and the 15th is
Is Mike.
the.
Roger, are you locked in, are you locked in stone that you're gonna leave the police and fifth? Does that mean you're gonna leave the public works on the fifth?
Only if you let me go.
What if we won't let you go?
Okay, you get the extra point, hopefully.
What about if we,
Thereafter.
what about if we waive the paycheck in front of it?
The 6th or the 13th? That's either
What?
next Tuesday or the following.
The sixth, say we gotta have ample time to get this in the paper. I guess we can do that.
The 6th wouldn't give us time, 13th is, I think.
Call me on the 13th.
I don't see why we can't put this off to January.
Because that's what we always do, is keep putting stuff off.
Well,
Let's get a little certainty.
we can't do anything and we can't set anything in concrete here because all five are applicants. We can't hire them. We can't say you got the job. You can say you got the job if.
Is a motion and a second? And Jack second.
Second.
I'm sorry, Gordon, I didn't hear you.
I said, y'all make a motion in a second, right?
Yes.
Let's vote on it. Thanks, I want to call, that's up to the mayor.
Calling for a vote?
Call for a vote.
He called for a vote.
What's the motion? Let's go back over that.
We're gonna have,
I think I'm call meeting, there's an interview, a 15-minute interview, right?
Yep.
Right.
starting at 5
All
o'clock,
5 applicants.
5 o'clock on what day, the 13th?
Right, we'll let the city hall figure out when they want to schedule the interviews. We're not even going to go there.
So
I
you
agree.
contact the people and tell them
Yeah.
ahead of time, so you know if you're doing it, so then be sure they know the day they're gonna be here, you know.
Well, actually,
That didn't be out snow skiing in Colorado, I don't.
how many days we gotta give? 10 days notice? So, we could
Vote.
do it on the, what would be 10 days from Wednesday?
Well, let's call the roll and we'll go.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkins?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, last thing is citizens' comments. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to address the board with anything?
Time to go home.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, other than this call meeting that we will be having in sometime in December, we don't normally have a board meeting unless like that something comes up or emergency. So are we in agreement? We need to vote on not having a regular board meeting for the month of December unless it's a call meeting or emergency. Well, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Rhodes?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Wilkins? Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Evans? Mr. Johnson?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing else. It's been a long night. We'll adjourn and thank you very much.